All right, welcome back. As I mentioned earlier, there's quite a few points of reading material in your workbooks. So in your own time, you may want to work through this as well. Find a nice quiet spot. Give yourself a couple of hours. Think deep as to why you want to do this. So it's really important you identify your why, whether it's for you or whether it's because you want to help somebody else. Or, give yourself the gift, because this exercise as a human being will really add value to your life. So there's better understanding of depression. We've got the stigma exercises, and especially this one, what stops us from moving forward? And fear has come into it again. Fear can destroy our psychology and immobilize us from acting. All of us experience fear in some context during our lives, whether it's fear of rejection. This is the biggest one that I found in women. They didn't want to be rejected, not only from the person that was abusing them, but they were afraid of rejection from society, as if society was going to put their bread and butter on their table. The fear of failure, like some of the highest, most successful people in the world today are there because of the number of failures they've had. And that's how I got through my times of falls. Every time I fell, I said, oh, that's another really great experience and learning curve for me. And because of this experience, I'm going to be even more successful and I'm going to be able to reach out to more people. The first thing I always ask for my mistakes or my failures is, what did I learn from this? And that last time, 3.5 years ago, it helped me grow in my faith. It helped me grow in my spirit. And the person that was very abusive and used everything that I had, truly so, I'm grateful to them, because had they not been the mean, dysfunctional person that they were, I would not have grown to the faith level that I am today. So very grateful for what they did. Even though I lost a lot of things material, but that's, I'm here, I'm physically able, and I can still create that. At that time, I was also diagnosed with an illness. So I was probably given about 6 months to live. I survived that, and then following that, I think it was 8 months later, I had a massive car accident, and I should have literally not been here today, so I survived that. So I believe that there's a reason why I exist today. All right, so fear. So fear of failure, fear of success. People are scared of success. I was, and I still am sometimes thinking, okay, I'm really going up there. How am I going to handle this? I don't want to come from a place of ego. I don't want to come from a place of pride or bad influence. I really want to be placed in a place where I'm humble and I come from a place of humility and totally unconditionally loving everything. So the fear for me of that success was that I did not want it to contribute my character or my attitude or the way that I present myself in society. And then the final one was, how can I handle pressure and continue to deliver at a high level? Some people, well, that's not the final one. We still have the fear of love or losing love, the fear of being alone or fear of the unknown. And in fact, like I know for me, as many of you would, you live with a combination of this, right? I think the greatest learning curve out of everything that's happened in my life, and where I was always looking to work and do for others, I'm still doing that, but it's at a different level. Before, it was dependent on whether they were happy or not. Now it's like, am I at peace with what I'm doing and the work that I'm doing outside? So if you want to have peace of mind, my friends, that comes with where you are with your mindset, your mental health. If your peace is compromised, you need to take a step back, do a reflection, and see what's going on. This is a very sensitive one, especially for us women in the cult communities, is, are you honest with yourself? Now, many of us, when we've been out there, said, no, we're fine, everything's good. And there's something going on. You can tell with their physiology, you can tell with their eyes are going, you can tell the way that they're breathing. Like if they're breathing shallow, you know something's not right within them or something's not right in their environment. And fear usually is showing up in the eyes of the people. So when you're talking to them, you know, people say if somebody's looking straight at you, you know they're being absolutely honest. That's not the truth. People have trained themselves to look straight at you, right? But you can see if you go really deep within their eye, whether there's a fear there or whether they are coming and actually telling the truth. Now, when I trained on the neuro-linguistic side of things, we were taught, I spent 4 years with the founder and the master of neuro-linguistics, and just taking on the cues of how people are telling the truth. So where they're looking, are they creating, or is this actual fact? And I did this in courtrooms where we were reading body language and people's cue when they were speaking, the tonality, the way that they're looking at you, their physiology, their emotions. All this contributed to whether they were being factual or whether they were creating. Now, the other thing that we found with a lot of women was even though that they were going through abuse in their home life, they had created an image where everything was perfect, and that's what they would recite to us. And that wasn't the case. What we found with a lot of youth is, have you found that it's getting common where a lot of parents are splitting up? And the common factor we found is that yes, the parents are going through what they're going through, but a lot of the children just blame themselves. The split happened because I was born and this is what's happening. And I was talking to a young girl, and I don't know where she found the blade from, but she was cutting herself, and I was looking at her and I was like, Rebecca, what are you doing? And she'd be opening up the wound so the blood bubbles up. And that's how she was causing pain to herself, because she blamed her parents for splitting up because of her. Luckily, she's saved. She wanted to be a hairdresser and a tattooist, and she's doing that. So very grateful that we were able to help her. All right, following on from that, we have another exercise, and you guys are doing so well in answering these questions. I'm so very grateful that you're coming from your heart, and you're stopping things from getting worse in your situation, but you're being absolutely honest, and that's the first thing, is honesty. And I'll add to that honesty is that if you cannot be honest with yourself, then how can you be honest with others? We cannot give to other people what we don't have, and that includes your self-respect, your self-love, your self-leadership, self-awareness. If you cannot be honest with this, you cannot be honest with others. Sorry, you had a question?
I wanted to add a little bit to it. I sort of find from myself that when you start looking internally and to be truly honest, that fear comes in. You start feeling anxious, you start feeling intense, and you want to understand why you're feeling this, because you're in a calm place, you're in a calm position. There should be no reason why you're feeling fear, but you sort of think, is anything going to bubble up that you're not going to like?
Yeah.
And you need to become aware of this and basically, look at it and find out why it's happening and deal with it, basically. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's really important. So it's the fear of the unknown. And the fear of the known.
The unknown, yeah. And if you're in a situation where you start feeling anxious, you start feeling, basically intense, you can usually tell these feelings that come up, and you don't understand why they're coming up.
Yes.
That's when you need to look a little bit deeper and see what's going on.
That's a very sensitive point as well. That's why we have small groups here, because when you go into the past, your whole body, your whole neural system relives the event. So your whole system is going through everything again. Hence, when we go into the past, we change the meaning and the emotions that you've attached to that event. But first, you've got to accept that it happened. Like you're saying, the fear of not wanting to accept. And the emotions that it's so important for the healing that whatever's happened here, let's chat, you know, we're here, let's talk about it, whether you need to cry, whether you break down. I've had people fall on the ground into a fetus position because finally they've acknowledged it, they've accepted, and they've released. And then it's like a new life. Then we're able to just coach. And the self-development, the second part of this program, is that, okay, you're in a great space. What were your values? What were your beliefs? What were your desires? Who were you before others told you who you should be? And that's where our society lives, right? Women. People say you should be this, you should be a better mother, you should be a better professional, you should be doing this in the business. So often we get the label given to us, but who were you meant to be before others told you who you should be? And that's a huge breakthrough. So thank you for reminding me of that and sharing that. All right, so before we move on to the self-development, there's another exercise there. If you could just go ahead and do that. So we spoke about some ideas of losses you may be facing. And the loss could come to you in any way. It could be through jobs, home, possessions, relationships, security, confident, you're not laughing anymore, family back at home, friends who are close to you that are no longer close to you, loss of technology. So many people are frustrated because their phone doesn't work and they're so dependent on that technology. They've become a human doing instead of being a human being. And that's what we're bringing back. You know, come back to being a human being. You're not a robot yet. We're not there yet. And are you missing somebody's shoulder to cry on? Are you missing your mom or dad? Are they even here or have they passed on? What else are you missing in your life that is causing you a little bit of grief or pain? And that's okay. Grief is okay. It just means that you may be holding on to it and you haven't allowed yourself to heal. So when my mother died, because my mom, the only time I got to spend time with her, with the other 9 boys in the house, is when she'd comb my hair before I went to school. And it was at 5 minutes, come on, let's comb your hair, let's get you ready for school. And then she'd be cooking, breakfast, cleaning. She had 3 jobs in a day. So from the age of 7, I believe, before I went to school, I'd help her in a job in the morning, go to school, come back, help her in the job in the evening shift, come back home, do the cooking, no washing machine, we'd wash the clothes by hand in the bathtub. And these were my special moments. I never saw them as hard work. It was my fun time with my mom, right? And then all of a sudden she's gone. So for 9 years, I was very angry. I was very much in a dark space because I was like, she's only 42. All I've seen her do is work. And we haven't even grown up to give her a life that she should be living as a princess and a queen. How can you just take her away like that? So even though I was in the process of doing what I needed to do for my siblings and my father, who went through severe depression at that time, it's not good. So I understand where children come from, because they go through grief if the family split. They go through grief if they've lost a loved one, even a pet or an animal, because they've got that emotional attachment and they haven't healed. And all that comes back to the life that they're living today. So I had a gentleman, I was met at a business network last week, and he said, Pushpa, I had a conversation with my wife, something triggered, and I just started shouting at her. And he goes, she's perfect in every way. I don't understand what that was all about. He goes, I couldn't understand it. She broke down, I had to leave. And so I did a very mild hypnosis session with him. And it was a conversation he had with his mom where he was not able to speak about 40 years ago. And he didn't agree with the mom's, decisions. And yet every time he tried to open his mouth, he was told to shut up. So his wife said something, in the way she said it, it triggered that. And that all came back to her. So he was very ashamed and embarrassed, so we worked through that as well. Hence the reason I say is that don't be quick to judge other people. Yes, be careful of perpetrators, but if we can encourage our perpetrators to get help, then You know, let's get them help, but don't ever compromise your own safety in that environment. No human being in this world should suffer. My personal passion is to end suffering in the world and to relieve as much suffering as I possibly can. That's what I do. The lady from the UK, we had a lady from Colombia last week. At the moment, I've actually got 21 people in Africa that I get together on at a 6 a.m. call on a Sunday. They get on this mountain, we have a conversation, and then they're able to go and do what they need to go and do. But because they're not allowed internet, they're not allowed the phone, and this is the only way that I can support them. All right, any questions? All right, great. So we're going to take a short break and then we'll come back and then we can go through the rest of the program. Is that okay? How's everybody doing? Good. Beautiful. So even after the end of the day, I'm going to be spending 10 or 15 minutes with each and every one of you over the next few days to make sure that you're in a good space. And if there's any other support that you need from me that I can help you with.